to the first of two parts for the reproduction system in Anatomy and Physiology 2, and this is your last cam clips for that. So we're going to look at this section here, and in this section we're talking about the connection between the reproductive system and the rest of the body. Gonads are the primary sex organs. That's the term. Sometimes they're called gametes. And the female, of course, are ovaries, and in the male, they're the testes. And so just keeping that, the gonads produce gametes, or what we call sex cells, and they secrete the hormones. We'll look at those in a short section. Now, keeping with this picture, we're going to review the male anatomy. So the testes are the male, they're right down here, the male gonads, and they're olive size if we could look at them. They live down in the scrotum down here, which is outside of the body to keep it at the right temperature, and their job is to produce the hormone testosterone. The seminiferous tubules, I'm not sure that gives us a really good picture. I'm just going to flip for a second to that, and I will come back to this. Okay. Oops, sorry, there it is. Okay, so the seminiferous tubules are a collection of tubules inside the testes that produce sperm, and sperm then travels, okay, through the epididymis, which is the exit route, and travels then the epididymis. Around the epididymis, there are cells that produce, called interstitial cells, that produce the hormone testosterone, and a temporary storage spot for our sperm while it matures. So it sort of stops there and grows up, if you will. Now the vas deferens, I'm going to go back to this picture here. Okay, so the vas deferens is right here, and so it sort of comes this way, and it's this tube right here, and it connects the epididymis to the prostate. This is where they're going to do sterilization here, vasectomy. It arches up into the pelvic cavity and ends at the ejaculatory duct. So you see the ejaculatory duct right here, and that carries then sperm into the urethra, and the urethra is shared with the bladder. So the ejaculatory duct, as you can see it, let's follow it in right there, and that's the prostate we're in right there, passes through the prostate, and then it merges with the urethra. And as you know, the urethra transports sperm and urine, okay, and it exits from the beginning of it is in the bladder, but it meets up with the sperm here at the prostate and the ejaculatory duct, and then it makes its way out, obviously, through the tip of the penis. Semen is the fluid in which the sperm is carried, and it's made by the accessory glands, two parts, the prostate and the seminal vesicles, and you can see the seminal vesicles right here. Okay, and they're located at the base of the bladder, and they nourish the sperm as they pass it through, sort of get it ready for its journey. The prostate sits here at the base of the bladder. It's sort of a chestnut-sized gland that circles right around the urethra. My own anatomy teacher described it like a peeled mandarin orange, a lobe gland in which the urethra would go through the middle of it. So it encircles both the urethra and the bladder neck, and it activates sperm. The bulbal urethra glands, here we are right here, just sort of an extra little piece right here that produces a clear mucus that sends it into the urethra to clean it from urine and produce some lubrication, of course, prior to, or during and prior to intercourse. And the external genitalia is composed of both the scrotum and the penis, and the scrotum is a divided sac, as you know, and it hangs outside the pelvic cavity and underneath the penis, and has the testes and the ductal system that we've already talked about. Well, the penis is a shaft that has several parts to it. The glans penis, which we see right here, and if the person is not circumcised, you'll see the foreskin. and it's made of erectile tissue that fills with blood when it's stimulated to form an erection. And so I think we pretty much covered that. So we can go on here. So looking at a sperm, so the sperm is produced, sperm is a self-propelled cell, and it's got some three parts, main parts. The head of the sperm right here, and what we call a mid piece, and then a long tail. It's sort of tadpole shaped if we had to give it a shape. It's created in the seminiferous tubules. Let's go back to that picture and have a look at that again. Sorry to make you do that. Okay, so it's produced in the seminiferous tubules, which is down here, and then travels into the epididymis. There's the epididymis, and then exits via the vas deferens and makes its way, empties into the ejaculatory duct right here. So we've gone all the way around into the ejaculatory duct, meets up with the urethra, and then of course is ejected out of the body that way. Sorry, we're backtracking here again, going forward now. Now, to put this in, we've already really talked about this. We talked about this when we talked about cell division back in the cell, but just remember that primary spermatocytes start out with 46, and they have a meiotic division which takes them down to 23, because each sperm is going to bring 23 chromosomes to the united ovum or zygote when it meets up with an egg. And then we have another mitotic division, so we end up with 4 sperm from that original. First is to divide the chromosomes, and then they stay at 23 each. Just a different picture there. And a little bit about the role of the hypothalamus and the FSH and LH in the male reproductive system. So the hypothalamus is got, there's a two-part system with the anterior pituitary gland, and it stimulates the anterior pituitary gland to stimulate the testes to make the hormones that we need. Follicle stimulating hormone is released then from the anterior pituitary gland, and because of the hypothalamus stimulation, and stimulates sperm development by the testes, so that it helps develop the sperm. Whereas luteinizing hormone is also called interstitial cell stimulating hormone and helps stimulate the production of testosterone. And so again, identifying the function of the main male hormones, testosterone, and as we told you already, it's manufactured in the interstitial cells. So that's the end of the part 1.